Following the People's National Movement Tobago Council's elections on April 24th, Mr. Ancil Dennis was elected as Council's political leader and took leadership of the party from May 1st. And joining me all the way in Tobago to talk more about his plans to rebuild the party is Mr. Ancil Dennis, the political leader of the PNM's Tobago Council. Mr. Dennis, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us on Now.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. Let me say good morning as well to your listeners and viewers across the country and wherever else they may be taking in this program from.
Now, Mr. Dennis, first of all, let me just say congratulations on your win. How does it feel?
Thank you very much. I am, of course, elated and pleased to be representing the People's National Movement and the people of Tobago by extension in this capacity. I know the journey ahead is going to be a tough one, but I am comforted by the fact that we have a good team in the executive and our party membership is once again becoming energized and encouraged. And I look forward to the work ahead.
Now, Mr. Dennis, since you entered the Parliament chamber, you have been breaking records, right? At 26, you were the youngest person in THA. And then at 33, you were elected the youngest THA Chief Secretary. And now at 35, you are the youngest political leader of the Tobago Council. I mean, how does it feel to be breaking all these barriers?
Well, it's a string of youngest, but it augurs well for the development of Tobago. I do not necessarily see it as an achievement or as achievements just for me personally, but I see it as Tobago breaking barriers in terms of its young people, being able to serve the island in the highest capacity of leadership. We have a number of young persons involved in politics at this point in time on the island. Both the members of Parliament for Tobago in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago are young persons. The current Chief Secretary is also a very young man. And we are seeing a number of young persons coming forward to serve in this way. And I am happy to be of encouragement to other young persons who may wish to make this giant step towards serving the island and the country by extension in this way.
Now, Mr. Dennis, coming out of the elections, one of the things that you were saying is that you wanted to, rebuild the PNM party and to strengthen it in Tobago. I mean, what are some of the plans that you're going to put in place?
Well, firstly, I want to say to the people of Trinidad and Tobago that the People's National Movement in Tobago is still alive and well. Yes, we lost an election 14-1. But we were still able to attract some 12,000 votes in that same election, which was just over 40% of the votes cast. And therefore, we continue to maintain a solid base on the island. We continue to maintain a large number of persons who continue to have faith in the People's National Movement. And we also have a long track record of bouncing back. Right, it was 1986 when the PNM lost the general election 33-3. And at that point in time, I'm sure many persons would have written off the People's National Movement. We were able to bounce back from that very soon afterwards. In addition to that, we had another major defeat in the 2010 general election. And again, we were able to bounce back. So I am simply saying that as a result of that track record, as a result of the organization and strength of the People's National Movement, we as a team in the executive will be able to build upon those strengths. And we'll be focusing mainly on 3 areas for the first few months. Reconciliation, that is one of the major areas for us because we believe that there's a need for us to reconcile our differences within the People's National Movement in Tobago. As a result of a number of factors, which I wouldn't get into now, the party became somewhat divided, and therefore we have to treat with that. So a number of steps will be taken to ensure that we are able to bring the kind of unity that we had grown accustomed to within the PNM, because of course, as we all know, there is strength in unity. So we'll be focusing highly on that issue of reconciliation. At this point in time, I'm reaching out to members, all the members. The intention is to get in touch with all the members, and that leads me to the other area of focus, which is consultation. because as part of the reconciliation process, we must get out there and talk to our members and Tobagonians by extension, especially those who would have been disappointed by some of the actions or some of the decisions that were made in the past, and especially our core members who became disgruntled again because of some of the developments over the last couple of years. So at this point in time, we are going to reach out to our membership, say sorry where we need to say sorry, to restore that confidence, to restore that love, to restore that unity that we need to have in the People's National Movement at this point in time. The consultations will also allow us to rebuild or to build a new party platform, because one of the things we are going to do is to move away from the whole concept of the short-term manifesto. Of course, the usual custom in Tobago is a few months, and all the political parties do it. A few months before the elections, political parties will get together and they will formulate a manifesto, and that will be used as the basis of the campaign during any election. We are doing it a bit differently this time in that we are beginning the process now through consultations with our members and Tobagonians by extension, and with the involvement of talented technocrats within the party, economists, persons qualified in the agriculture sector, the health sector, tourism, young people, even older persons. We are going to get that team of technocrats on board and begin to consult. And the objective is really to come up with a long-term party platform, which will comprise a set of policies, a set of programs, which we will promote as our ideas and our suggestions for the development of Tobago, not for the next 4, 5, or even 6 years, but for the next 25 years. So we are looking at a period of 2025 to 2050, a 25-year strategic development plan for the island, which will form the basis of our party platform. And
Now,
the
Mr.
final
Dennis.
thing, of course,
No,
the final
continue.
thing, of course, is people development, because remember I said it's 3 core areas we'll be focusing on: reconciliation, consultation, and last but not least, people development. We will be ensuring that we give the talent within our party and the general party membership opportunities for education, opportunities for development, as it relates not only to the party affairs, but as it relates to those critical skills needed to provide sound leadership in whichever capacity they may find themselves in the future, whether as candidates, whether as secretaries, assemblymen, members of parliament. We will be providing the necessary opportunities for development to our membership.
Now, Mr. Dennis, while you are the leader of the PNM Tobago Council, you are not in the assembly, as in you don't have a seat in the assembly. So is this going to hurt your chances to get, some of the things that you just mentioned implemented?
Not at all. Everything that I just mentioned has nothing to do with the Tobago House of Assembly. It has all to do with the political party, the PNM, and I was elected as the political leader of the People's National Movement. And therefore, my focus at this time is to rebuild that organization. Of course, I will lend my voice to the general conversations about Tobago's development and the nonsense that the current administration is doing from time to time. But the main objective as well is to give the support necessary to the minority team. And let me shout out and congratulate at this point in time our minority team in the Tobago House of Assembly, led by the minority leader, Assemblyman Kelvin Morris. And also a part of that team is the young Councillor Petal Daniel Benoit. So they are doing a pretty good job at this time, and the party will continue to provide guidance, to provide strategic direction in terms of how we move forward to keep this runaway horse of a PDP administration in check. So my focus will be on the party, and I see that as advantageous because we have a situation where the minority leader is focusing on, doing that task of keeping the administration in check, representing the voice of the oppressed, representing the voice of the terrorized and the victimized on the island. While as political leader, I am able to focus on the party development.
Now,
And
Mr.
I
Dennis,
think we have a very unique opportunity here.
Now, Mr. Dennis, you would have run unopposed for the leadership, and you actually did get the leadership. So, what do you plan to do differently differently than what was done before?
Well, organizational development. And again, we have a unique opportunity where the political leader is able to almost focus solely on the development of the political party. Yes, there are other things that I will have to do outside of that, especially where my living is concerned, because I hope to, do the necessary things to provide an income for myself to continue to live. But the majority of my time will be taken up with the work of the political party and building the organization. It is a tall ask in terms of meeting with people, getting in touch with our 8,000 plus members to ensure that we do the necessary consultation, reconciliation, and all those things that I just mentioned.
Now, Mr.
So,
Dennis,
as I said before,
no, I was
go
just about
ahead.
to say you are actually talking about getting on the ground and talking to the membership, and we would have seen some B-roll footage of you actually on the ground, walking through the communities. What are some of the issues and challenges that some of the Tobagonians face that you want to deal with now that you have taken leadership?
Well, generally, as I said in the party, there is this division that we must treat with. But Tobago generally continues to be in need of sound leadership. And I think going forward, when I spoke to the party's platform, my intention is for us to listen to the people of Tobago, to hear what their views, their concerns are, to hear what their suggestions and ideas and aspirations are as well. Of course, that is something we would have been doing over the years as People's National Movement. We have not been governing by VAPs. We have been listening to the people and taking all of that into consideration. But it's something I intend to do again. And in terms of the specific issues, I think the development of the agriculture sector, the development of the tourism sector, and Tobago's economy generally continues to be something at the forefront of the minds of the people of Tobago. And also Tobago's autonomy is another conversation, a very important conversation that we must continue to have. And I think there are other areas as well that we intend to place some focus on, things like renewable energy as we face this whole issue of climate change across the world. But in my time as Chief Secretary, some attempts were made to push Tobago in that direction because we believe that there are some key advantages for Tobago to be branded as a green destination, mostly reliant on renewable energy. So it is something that as a party, we are going to have those discussions and as far as possible, come up with a comprehensive platform that encompasses all the areas of Tobago's development. There are a number of issues as well, of course, with unemployment, with the education sector. These things, of course, the current administration promised to fix. So far, all we are seeing is just a lot of talk and not much action. As a
Now,
matter
Mr.
of fact,
Dennis.
the only actions we are seeing are action towards, taking bread and butter from the mouths of many Tobagonians.
Now, Mr. Dennis, in terms of, I know we have about a few minutes before we wrap, but I wanted to get your thoughts on this. A lot of the political observers are actually saying that you have a huge task ahead of you, and you would have mentioned, the defeat last year, and of course some of the struggles internally with the party. I mean, is there any fear on your end that you may not be able to deliver?
I'm not fearful at all, right? Because one thing I am certain of is that after my stint as political leader, whenever it ends, whether it's 2 years, 4 years, or whenever, the party will be left in a better place than where I met it. And I'm certain of that. So, yes, it's not going to be a walk in the park. Nobody's saying that the journey will be an easy one. But I believe I have what it takes in terms of my youth, my experience, my specific capacities in leadership, in communication, in in management, and several other areas that I believe make me suitable for this task. And of course, I have a good team in the executive, Chairman Larry Paul and others, and the membership as well, right? We look forward to all those things, all those assets coming together to do the work that is necessary to ensure that we rebuild the party. So I am quite confident that the objectives will be achieved.
Thank you, Mr. Dennis, so much for joining us here on the Now Morning Show and just sharing your plans to rebuild the party. Of course, I wish you all success for the next few years.
Thank you very much. Have a good day and good morning again to Trinidad and Tobago.